Hey everybody, it's Troy. Hey, listen, if there's one thing we can be sure of now, it's that the fascist Republicans are at least going to be saying the quiet parts out loud rather than trying to hide them. See the recent Marjorie Taylor Greene comments about a national divorce. But check out this video from Lauren Witzke. She's a former candidate for U.S. Senate from Delaware who lost to Chris Coons. But check out what she says in this segment.
We are just drifting farther and farther away from God, and God help us. That, what can you say? Pray for these people, because we are absolutely going astray as a nation. And, you think Putin will liberate us? I don't even know what to say.
Listen,
I'm shocked.
Listen, that is perfectly fair for us to say. People are going to be like, my goodness, what are you, like, bunch of pro-Putler, bunch of Putlers? Because they like to quantify it. And I'll tell you this.
I wish we had a
leader.
leader.
We are Christians that we hear a world leader talk about the Holy Scriptures, not in a manner that's denigrating. Not that it's like a characteristic of an extremist or a terrorist. That's our government's position right now.
Putin, come liberate us? Did she really just say that? Yes, she really just said that. We have a potential candidate for Congress, failed candidate for Congress, but still doesn't mean, she won't be running again at some point in the future, suggesting that Putin invade the United States and liberate Christianity from democracy, apparently, is the point they're getting at here. They just can't stand that they don't live in a Christian fascist, Christian nationalist state because democracy has become a little bit too inconvenient to their worldview. So they're looking at Russia as their model. They'd rather live in Russia. Not only would they rather live in Russia, they're secretly hoping that Putin invades and takes us over and imposes Russian-style authoritarianism, ending United States democracy. They're full-on cheering for the end of our system of government, the end of our way of life, the end of freedom, the end of liberty. They hate democracy. They hate freedom. They hate our country. No one hates America more than these fascist Republicans. And like I said, they're at least saying the quiet parts out loud now. I mean, we always kind of had this suspicion that these people weren't actually as patriotic as they claimed to be, but now we have MAGA fascist Republicans full on cheering for the invasion and conquering of the United States by our number one enemy. Right around the same time, Congresswoman Marjorie Treason Greene is calling for a national divorce and somehow proposing to separate the red states from the blue states, even though there are plenty of Republicans in blue states and plenty of Democrats in red states. Now, how much Putin is directly involved in this, I'm not sure that we know. We do know that Russia is engaging in misinformation campaigns all the time in the United States. We do know that they pump false news on social media. They use social media as a weapon, as a psychological weapon to turn Americans against Americans. So we don't know if Putin is directly involved in this, but we do know that we have a sizable portion of the MAGA fascist Republican Party that is siding with Russia over Ukraine publicly. We have MAGA fascists in the United States Congress who are talking about cutting off funding to Ukraine, calling Ukraine a welfare state, questioning our resolve in this mission and questioning the resolve of Ukraine to stand up to the Russian invaders, to stand up to Putin, who is a pure authoritarian dictator. So whether or not they're directly on the payroll of Vladimir Putin is somewhat irrelevant. We know that they're very definitely doing his bidding here in the United States. And this clip is a perfect example of it. If we can just mainstream this ideology on the right among these MAGA fascists, that we'd be better off under Putin. Eventually, that notion is going to take hold. Indeed, it already is taking hold in a lot of far-right circles. And why is that? Well, they see Putin as a Christian nationalist. They see the Russian government as a Christian nationalist government that does not tolerate any other cultures, that does not tolerate any other faiths. It is a single white ethno-state, single white Christian ethno-state with very few competing opinions. And this is, of course, very, very appealing to this current brand of MAGA fascists in the United States. That's at the very least what they would like to turn the United States into, and they've said so as such. They do, in fact, proudly proclaim themselves as Christian nationalists. And there's no room in that viewpoint for any other religion, any other culture, any other lived experience. They want everything to be uniform. They want everything to be white, Christian, and in their worldview. And because of that, democracy gets tricky. Democracy is hard for folks like that. Democracy is very, very hard for folks who cannot or will not live in a society where competing viewpoints are tolerated, where multiculturalism is tolerated, where freedom of speech is tolerated, where freedom of religion is tolerated, not only tolerated, but welcomed. That's not a society that these people, these MAGA fascists, want to live in. So who is Lauren Witzke? Well, she's got a pretty standard resume for the far right in the United States. Prior to 2020, she was a member of QAnon, actively spreading Q conspiracies on Twitter, on the internet, spreading, Q messaging and slogans. She has a relationship with white nationalists, white supremacists. She publicly thanked Nazi Nick Fuentes, who is best known as the guy who had dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. She's publicly maintained a relationship with Nick Fuentes. She has said in an interview for a white supremacist website, she was interviewed, she said that America is tired of communist media outlets like CNN and the rest absurdly smearing Americans who want to limit immigration, including African Americans, Cubans, and Jews, as white nationalists or somehow fringe. That's kind of the definition of a white nationalist. Oh, she also supports arranged marriages and dowries. She's a big anti-feminist. She has said that here's the deal with arranged marriages is that your parents want what's best for you. So not only is she looking for a Russian-style authoritarian white ethno-state, she's looking to go back to a period in history where women had zero rights. She wants to go back to women being forced into marriage. She has hyper right-wing fascist views about controlling women, about controlling people's lives, about forcing her religion on other people, about forcing her fake morality on other people. She's just a prototypical American fascist, American MAGA fascist, that's somehow becoming more and more mainstream in the Republican Party now that the Republican Party has embraced this horrific ideology. Oh, by the way, she was also a field organizer for the Trump campaign. So full-on fascism taking root in the United States, anti-American fascism, pro-Putinism, to the point where now we're stating publicly, these people are stating publicly that they are cheering for Putin against Biden, against their own government. They'd rather be Russian than American if Democrats are in charge of America. They're full-on traitors. They're traitors to our country, and they can never be allowed to hold public office. She lost her election to the Senate. That doesn't mean that she won't try to run again. That doesn't mean she won't be influential in the Republican Party that's growing further and further and further to the right and embracing these insane ideologies. So we have to stay ever vigilant. We have to keep an eye on candidates like this. We can't let them slip under the radar, because when they do that, they get elected to office. But before we realize it, we have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a sitting member of Congress on the Homeland Security Committee, calling for a national divorce. On that committee, by the way, gives her access to classified information. So we have to stay ever vigilant about who these people are, what they want, and we have to understand that they are pro-Putin, pro-Russia traitors. They are not Americans, they are traitors, and they are dangerous. For MeidasTouch, this is Troy. Remember, smash that subscribe button to keep supporting independent media.
The best part of waking up? MAGA tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.